Hey everybody, I'm Law of the West, and welcome back to the IAE. Today, we're going to be looking at RSI. And this is the day that a lot of people have been looking forward to. And why is that? Because this is the day people are going to be able to rent the Polaris for free. And here she is right there. I kind of wish I was recording a little earlier because the train ride over here was a little bit more lively than it normally is. And to honor RSI, I have two official RSI suits that I could be wearing. One of them is very dignified, and the other one's kind of silly. So, of course, I went with this one. How you doing? I am among us today. And this ship, let's go back into first-person mode. This ship looks so much better than it did during the Invictus event. Because it's the final gun that's on it. Most of final art's been done to the outside of it. I don't know if they're going to be doing any more work to the interior or not. We're just going to have to see. And other than just running up the ramp, I'm probably not going to do a full tour of this. I have videos where I do a full tour. There's hundreds of videos where people have done full tours of the inside of this. I don't want this whole video to be about that. But man, that looks amazing. So pretty much the chat from this point on all day long is going to be people screaming, how do I get into this ship? And then every landing zone is going to have the sun blotted out with abandoned versions of this ship just floating in space. Oh God, the Save Stanton thing is just going to be probably just dozens of this ship. People showing up, solo pilots all screaming, how do I fire the torps? Game's broken. A little bit of advice if you're watching this, you want to know how to get into it. See how it says ramp access? When you pull this thing into your hangar, you'll see that same ramp access on the ground. Just walk over to it, and they'll give you a little prompting that says F, and then you just press that, and it'll let you in. There's also an elevator over here, too. I'll show you where that is just really quickly. Elevator is right there. And you'll get a prompting right here on the ground, which, oh, there it is. Yeah. Boop. That's how you do it. Let it open up and let you in. Someday. It'll eventually get around to it. RSI is known for being dependable, not for being fast. There you go. That brings you right up to just outside of the main flight deck. So let's take a look at some of these other ships. Polaris. The Clipper. They have so many ships named Clipper right now. Matter of fact, I think two RSI ships are named Clipper. I think there's a Clipper version of the Aurora. This is a Clipper too. It's a designation, not a name. I get it. One of the things I really liked about this is how they did the tractor beam. The tractor beam, see if you can see my marker, is hidden in this area over here, and it opens up and articulates out. I've had some people complaining about it. I haven't had any problems using it. I actually really liked it, but the only issue I have, oh God, it's not really. Oh, it's because it's on a platform. That's why. That's why there's that gap there. Okay. Look into that. That's dangerous. Yeah, the only thing that's kind of weird is how it stacks cargo. That is kind of bizarre. It's almost like this weird little internal game of Tetris when you're trying to do it. I have no idea how to articulate it without you actually seeing it, without me having boxes here to show you, but it is kind of weird. Like, you can really stack it. Other than that, though, I actually really love the way they've done the interior of the Zeuses. Now, just truth be told, the only Zeus I own is the bounty hunting module. Not module, variant, excuse me. The kitchen area. Hey, open up. And of course, this is the hab area over here. There we go. Full bathroom in the back. They just added so much detail into this. Whoa, hey, easy there, pal. It just looks so nice. You can tell a lot of attention was given to this ship on the interior and how it works, how it functions. Did I see somebody just blow something up out there? Oh yeah, okay. He's mining for goods. You know, good luck, sir. This whole place is made out of pure quantanium, so it's a gold mine. Help yourself. I guarantee he's just going to run right onto my ship and just start mining the crap out of me. So, let's run. I seem to attract those types for some reason. Yeah, the only complaint I've heard about like the inside of this ship is that it could be a little congested for like 3 people, but I mean, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, that's nitpicking. I never found that problem. Whenever you have people on board, usually one is always piloting. Someone is... Oh, how you doing? Someone is often either in the co-pilot seat or is in one of the other rooms. I never really found it to be too much of an issue. Let's go over this other one too, just really quickly. We're just going to look into the back end of it. This is the Explorer variant. It'll be interesting to see how they work out the idea of like, how do smaller Explorer ships really, like, how do they match up to the other ships, essentially? Like the other bigger Explorers, like the Odyssey and the Carrack. Because it kind of seems to me that when you want to do exploration or exploration gameplay, you're going to want the biggest, the most self-sufficient, longest lasting ones. Just jump in here just really quickly. Looks very similar. Very similar to the other one we were just in. Like from this point in, it's practically the same. The hab section, the kitchen areas differ in size from ship to ship. In particular, the Clipper has like the smallest hab section and the smallest kitchen because it just maximizes space for more cargo hauling. All right, anything else on the showroom floor? I was going to check I'm going to check the site map and just try to see, just to make sure. Just to double check my efforts here. I think those are the only 3 things on display, but... Plus, I just want to check to see what's in the other rooms. Should have done this on my way in, but oh well. There's no turning back now. Okay, that's interesting. Only 2 of the halls are actually filled. Oh yeah, the Aurora's got a whole room onto themselves, which is good. And the constellations too. So what's downstairs? We got the Triage, the Astra, Galaxy, Perseus. Nice. Okay, we're definitely gonna have to check that out. As a matter of fact, the way I've been doing this is I've been going downstairs after the showroom floor. So let's stick with tradition, just keep doing the same thing. Oh my god, that guy is still doing his thing. Let's give him a wide berth. Because he is apparently very easily amused with himself, so. And also there's something I wanted to talk about now that I have a little bit of time walking from one area to the next. And it's been taking me a little while to get these videos out, and there's a reason for that. It's been long pause. Well, the reason for that is the editing software I've been using is not working well with this rig. It is creating artifacts and sound and visual elements that do not exist on the master. And I spent a better part of almost all of last night trying to fix the issue, and nothing I did worked. Even adhering to every one of the same parameters that I had on my old computer, it still was not working. It was still creating those same problems. After hours of trying to fix this, tweaking options, working on it, I eventually started going onto forums and looking for people who had the same problem I had. And the general consensus was the editing software is just too old. It does not like to play well with new systems. But it might have been a blessing in disguise. So I spent the rest of my night looking for alternatives I could download and use. And I found one that seems to be very, very good. A very good alternative to it that seems to be a lot more powerful, and it's modern. It's basically up to date, as opposed to my old editing software that I looked it up and it's close to being a decade old at this point, which suddenly I was like, okay, that's why it's probably not working. That's why he's giving me issues. like a decade old? Jeez. was like, wasn't Twitch Justin TV back then? That was like 15 years ago, but still, it was pretty close. I was looking at it, I was like, were people even making videos like 10 years ago? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they were. Okay, so what are you guys afraid of? You're probably afraid of that guy with a mining tool. That's who I'd be afraid of. That dude seems like he got his own thing going on. Hey, Mistress of the Dark. I like how you're dressed the same as your hubby over there. You two look cute together. And normally I think it's tacky when couples dress alike, but you two are pulling it off. Good for you. Okay. The links. This is something I want to talk about. I actually really like the links. I picked it up because I waited for the links for so long, and obviously it looks way different than the original concept sketches for it were going to be. I don't really care. I think they did a good job with it. Just step right in here because it's like one room. Boop. There you go. Hop on in. Yeah, I love the interior. I mean, just for like RP, I think this is going to work out really well. Plus, there's little things that they changed that I did not like about the original, whatever, Ursa. Like, they changed the suspension. They made it look a lot better. The interior's a lot cleaner. I almost called it a flight deck. The driver's console is a lot cleaner looking. Don't get me wrong, I love the Ursa. The Ursa is like the utility vehicle. I still have one, and I still will keep it. And then, of course, we got the medevac. This is a meta vehicle. Like, this isn't just important. This is probably the most important vehicle you could possibly get. And as long as you have some kind of ship that can transport it, you'd be crazy not to try and get this. And you don't have to buy it either. You can get it in-game using the in-game credits that you earn through doing missions. And it'd be relatively, not cheap, but one of the more inexpensive things you can go for. Like, those are the smarter in-game goals to go for first instead of just going and buying another ship. Unless, of course, that's what you really want to do. But vehicles are very cheap in-game, very achievable. It's good to kind of just wet your beak a little bit and just collect those at first. Or ideally, depending on what you have as your one ship, you might want to look into getting something that could haul like a vehicle like this, and then start collecting vehicles. I don't know. It's up to you. Do what you want. I don't care. Not like I'm trying to tell you what to do. But I am on YouTube, so that seems to be my job, is telling people what to do. So I don't know. I don't agree with it. Ooh, how many people are excited for this ship? How many? Show of hands. Raise them up. Let's see them. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's a lot of people. Wow. Of course, the Perseus. Biggest thing about it is it has 2 giant turrets on it. Point defense system. You know what I really like, too, is the fact that we have point defense systems going in-game right now and are functioning. So when this ship comes out, its point defense system will work. And I have kind of a nagging suspicion that they might update it a little bit, because I'm trying to remember what the size of the guns are. And I'm not going to say because I don't remember. Well, I don't remember exactly. But bigger, they seemed like they were bigger than the point defense turrets that are on the Polaris and that are on another ship that I'm going to be showing you in a little bit. And also on the 890 jump, too. That was kind of interesting. I really kind of hope like ships like the Carrack end up getting a point defense system. But it seems like they're not going to be doing it to large ships. They're only going to be really doing it to capital class ships. That seems to be the plan right now. And obviously the Carrack is a large ship and not a capital class one, unless they change things sometime in the future. Fingers crossed. But this seems to be one of the few large ships as a point defense system. So we'll see how that ends up manifesting. Oh, I'm getting thirsty too. It's the Galaxy, probably. Galaxy, this is like a really cool supply vessel. I got a friend who's insanely into this ship. I mean, like, insanely, to the point we're talking about, consulting a doctor over it, But the one thing I do really like about this ship that it seems like I wish other ships could learn from is, okay, you can see here from the front view. See where this turret's located, this turret, and this turret? Meaning all 3 of them can fire forward and converge on the same target. about time. It's about time they start designing ships to be able to do things like that. And I don't remember what the side guns, what the size of these are, but I mean, when you can converge on a single target, suddenly concentrated firepower really stands for something. But when you divide up the turrets and none of them can hit the same target and they're all just on their own, suddenly you got to realize, yeah, it has a whole bunch of guns, but the collective DPS of it ends up being really low. And of course, it's got an opening. They're like, this is another thing I wish so many other ships had, was an opening in the back right here that went directly into the rear of the ship. So many other ships could utilize that. And of course, you have the engines around here on the periphery of it. I don't know. Design-wise, the exterior was designed really well. People like calling it the Dorito or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think it's an awesome design. Anybody who's a fan of Star Wars and like Empire ships would love this. Oh, the Erasta. That's what this is, isn't it? Yeah, the Erasta. Erasta. I always say that with a Brooklyn accent for some stupid reason. I don't know why. Yes, I used to live in New York City. What can I say about this ship? This is like the pinnacle of mining, in my opinion. I know you're going to be like, nah, it's the Orion. That's going to be it. And you're like, this, but you think about this. This is like the perfect, excuse me, this is the perfect size ship for like any occasion. Mining asteroids, being on the surface of a planet, supposed to be able to bring smaller mining vehicles along with it too. You can have multiple people with you. It has a refinery on board. Of course, it's got quad turrets on it too, because, you know, ever since they did that to the Polaris, they started slapping quad turrets onto everything else, so why not? It's also funny too, because it's got functionality that they tried to do for the Scorpius, but they couldn't get working, which is they wanted that turret that was on the dorsal turret to be able to move through the center of the ship and be able to lock. Hi, how you doing? Good to meet you. Nice, how you doing? You might have seen me from certain games like from Among Us, you know? Okay, no, you're a rando. So, what was I talking about? I don't know. Oh, the turret for the Scorpius. And they just couldn't quite get that working, so they ended up going with the rail system. But this, they seem to actually have gotten it going, because the turret actually goes from the top all the way to the bottom. So we'll see if that actually ends up being a part of the final design of this ship when it gets released or not. But, you know, my hat's off to them. I hope they get it done. Cool ship. All right, that was the suit I was going to wear. I decided to go with the plus size model suit because it's a little bit more roomy. I chafe, you know. I do a lot of running around here. The Triage. Oh my god. this is my point of shame. This is the ship that they did the silhouette of, and I just could not figure this one out for the life of me. It's after like somebody on Reddit figured it out. Then everybody else is like, of course it's the Triage. I knew it all along. Sure you did. Sure you did. But the Triage, this is like probably going to be one of the most important support vessels if you don't have a Galaxy. Because for anybody who doesn't know, this is, well, I don't know how I would describe it, but they've been describing it as a clinic. You know, like a floating clinic, as opposed to something like the Endeavor or the Hope class Endeavor, which is like a floating hospital. And if you look at it in the inside, it's even kind of built like a clinic. They have like a reception hall. And it's, the thing that's so special about it is that it has 2 rooms. And each one of those rooms can be outfitted with 3 size 3 medical beds, 2 size 2 medical beds. Oh, excuse, well, in each section would have 3 size 3 medical beds, 2 size 2 medical beds, or a single size 1 medical bed. So altogether, it could have 2 size 1s, you know, 4 size 2s, or like 6 size 3s. But I believe that's a large ship. Definitely not medium size. So, but it's very kind of like, I don't know, I was going to say compact for its size, but it doesn't seem to be like huge like some of the other large ships are. So it's going to have a lot easier time parking, landing in places. Great ship to bring with you when you're doing org events. Like maybe the galaxy might end up being a little too big, something like that for landing. Although don't get me wrong, the galaxy can land on the surface of a moon or a planet as well. It just might be size-wise a little inconvenient for certain places you want to go to, particularly if it's congested in that landing zone. There's not a lot of open space for it. Whereas this might have a lot less problem landing. Okay, we got 2 rooms left. Let's go hit them up. And then I'm either going to save Stanton or I am going to download that editing software and then I got to run and go to work. So I think I'm already late. But I'll get the rest of that done tonight. Pinky swear. Pinky promise. Okay, which hallway we're going? Over here on this side. Oh my god, I really feel bad for my character right now. He is pushing effort. I had to give him the backpack too, just because it says RSI on it. Run, Forrest! I feel like a much derpier version of Dark Helmet when I wear this outfit. I can't breathe in this thing! Scorpius. So how does the chat feel? Are you a hurricane or a Scorpius kind of person? Let's hear. How do you feel? Personally, I like how the Scorpius looks a little better, but I generally tend to gravitate towards the hurricane. Not that I don't like how the hurricane looks. I think it looks really cool. This thing, they just kind of went all out with the articulating wings. The flight deck is really cool. I like this cutout section that it has when you're in it. Just good for visibility. It just looks sleek. Let's go over to this. The Antares. Oh, this poor ship got so much negative flack. But one thing a lot of people don't know is they were creating a new team of shipbuilders and they were having them they were getting their practice and cutting their teeth by building variants. And that's how they're getting their experience, you know, getting used to the tools that Star Citizen had, and Cloud Imperium Games actually, and getting used to the shipbuilding process before they moved on to actually building something entirely from scratch on their own. So that's why you see a lot of variants coming out lately. Oh, and here we go. This is a good shot. Let's see if I can get a better view of this. These are some really great opportunities to get some good shots when you have a bunch of ships presented together like this. This would be actually very... I'd have to get inside of one of the ships to get more of an aerial view, excuse me. But this one, yeah, this is the Explorer variant right here. You can tell by that front windscreen. Me and this ship have a checkered pass, so I'm just going to kind of pass by and keep going. I think this might be the Andromeda over here. Let's take a look. Nope, it's the Phoenix. Oh my. Oh, don't I look stupid now. You can tell by the white paint job. I was just looking at the front end. I wasn't looking on the rest of it. If you're going to get one constellation, this would be my recommendation for it. It's got every one of the guns that the other constellations have. Fewer missiles, I think. I don't know the missile count when it's got less than the Andromeda. I don't know how it compares up to the Explorer variant or the other one here without actually looking at a spreadsheet. But one of the things that it has is it has the Archimedes docked to the back of it. And the Archimedes is not only a better version, well, a better Kruger ship, it's a better version of the Merlin. It's I don't know. It's just something that's something that's very special and unique about the Constellation series is having that, you know, that rear docking area like this. I think it's something that was always a defining element of it. And I love the fact that the back of the ship utilizes space so much more. See the way the body kind of widens out. You see that huge window like right over here in this area. I also like the way it handles cargo hauling too. So instead of having this middle section being the area where it carries its cargo, it carries it underneath in the belly. You know, it's big enough to carry most vehicles with it. And it's also, and that's the beautiful thing about it, is it's got a point defense system in the back that is functioning and working right now. Actually, no, I'm just going to amend that statement because I haven't tried it in the live server yet, but in the test server it was working. It should be working. If it's not working, it'll be working in the next build. So all those things make this kind of like, for me, ideally the best version of it. And we'll see over here, what do we got? Constellation. Yeah, the Andromeda is more of like the missile boat variant. If you're a little bit more into combat, this is kind of the one to go for. They all have the same guns loadout. And I believe they've just recently upgraded its turrets from 2s to 3s. I need to look into that. I don't remember off the top of my head. I believe they did. Just be able to take a look at them and be able to tell. The Taurus. Okay, so this is the cargo hauling variant. A lot of people love their Taurus. See, when I say that the Phoenix is my favorite, a lot of people argue with me and say, no, the Taurus is their favorite. But if you do a lot of cargo hauling, you will essentially... this would be the thing that would probably catch your attention the most. And the thing about it is, like, everyone... Okay, so originally the Constellation was being put in competition with the 400i. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. I'm with you on that, especially after a lot of the changes they've done recently to the 400i. I don't think these ships are in the same competitive circuit anymore by any means. And the other ship they were trying to compare it to was the... what is the name of that ship? The Corsair. And then they did some changes to the Corsair where they didn't nerf the weapons that it had, but they divided up the responsibilities between the co-pilot and the pilot. So the co-pilot has access to some of its main weapons and the co-pilot has access to the rest of them, which splits up the DPS. And if you're flying solo, you don't have access to its full arsenal anymore. Whereas if you're flying a Constellation, you do have full access to all of its weapons. And it's got 4 size 5 guns. I was just using one of these last night. I went up against a hammerhead. Granted, it was a AI hammerhead, so, you know, player-controlled one would be a whole different story. But still, I wrecked it. Absolutely wrecked it using this ship. So, 4 size 5s is nothing to sneeze at. That is a large amount of weaponry to have at your fingertips. Okay, we got one more room to check out. I believe that's the Aurora room, and it's got the... What's the centerpiece? The, begins with an M. Mantis. That's it. Sorry, I'm just working on 1 cup of coffee right now. There we go, Hall 2. And I'm just going to run through this display. I've showed it off a couple of times now. I'm not going to do it every time. 150... Whoa, okay, let's calm down with that heart rate. Wearing this suit's really taking its toll on me. Let's get over here so I just don't even have to look at that. I don't have to see how badly I'm abusing my poor character. Okay, buddy, let's get you inside here and give you a rest. Let's park it over here by the Mantis. I wish these Auroras were a little closer to one another so I could get them all in the same shot. A little too spread out for my taste. I still remember, like, years ago, there was one area in Hurston where they were hosting the event, and like the main floor when you walked in was just flanked by the Auroras on either side, and they're really close to each other, so you could get them all framed together in the same shot. Really hoping they do that again at some point, but they never did. Oh well. I got mixed feelings about the Mantis. It's got a whole bunch of that very Star Trek-like vibe, where it's got definitively nacelles onto it. This is like straight up Star Trek nacelles. It has that kind of like Star Trek runabout kind of look to it as well. I'm a little surprised they haven't done some kind of variant on this. That was a little bit more of a... Okay, hopefully these don't pinch and kill me. Like, instead of having this QED device, it had something else that was either able of, like, maybe picking up a small ground vehicle or maybe having more interior space, something like that. I don't know. let's go over here, the LN. So way back in the day when I was trying to remember the differences between the Auroras, I had to come up with mnemonic triggers to do it. And the LN was the Liam Neeson. It's actually the Legionnaire. And the Legionnaire is probably one of the more interesting Mustangs, God. One of the more interesting Auroras. Because it's got something the other ones don't. And I don't just mean a bigger missile rack, because it does have a bigger missile rack. But it also, instead of having 4 size 1 gun mounts, it's got 2 size 1s and then 2 size 2s. And you can't upgrade the other Auroras, at least you can't now in game, to mimic that. So this has the most firepower that you're going to get for the Aurora series, essentially. And they all have like almost the exact same interior. They've got a bed in the back, same flight deck. And what's this one? Is this the Clipper? Okay, the MR. This is the starter ship. This is one of the perennial starter ships. It's either this or the Mustang Alpha. And that's kind of my advice to people if you haven't played the game or you're not an active player and you're looking to get into it. Get one of those 2 ships. Either get this one, the Aurora MR, or the Mustang Alpha, because they're the 2 cheapest ships that you can get that can bundle along with a game package. And the game package bundle, I believe, is for $40 right now, and that gives you full access to the game and gives you a ship to boot. I mean, you're not going to be single-handedly taking on fleets of enemies with this ship, but I think like a good strategy would be is to get this ship and then earn whatever starter ship you really wanted to have in-game, which is a really easy, achievable goal with something like this, and then move on from that point. This has got to be, what is this one? Oh, the LX, okay. So I got to immediately say this has a slightly different interior. I believe it's got a chair that has fine Corinthian leather. I think it has just like a slightly better missile rack too than the other ones have. Better components, at least it used to have better components. Let's see what these 2. One of these is a Clipper. What's the other one? There's the Clipper. What's this one? The ES. Oh, that's funny. So going back to the mnemonic triggers, ES is, well, it's something I can't say on YouTube, but it's especially something or extra something. You can fill in the rest. It's like literally the cheapest version of the Aurora that exists. It was actually a referral reward at one point. Okay, so the Clipper, the whole thing with the Clipper is that it used to come with a store-all big box. Like that's what it was advertised as having. And since then, this ship has gone through a lot of changes, particularly when it comes to how like cargo is dealt with. And right now, you can just literally just affix a box directly to the underside of an Aurora. So you don't need a big box to do it. But on that same note, you could get like an empty storage box and slap it underneath it, and then you could put cargo in it. So you can put a box in a box right now. So why would you do something like that? Well, a couple of reasons. One of them is you could store your cargo, you could store whatever kind of cargo you're trying to transport within a box and then take it out when you get to your destination, and you're still left with an empty storage container which you can put stuff into. That's kind of convenient. But here's something that was my idea towards the future, and you can't do this right now, but this is something I hope that they achieve later on, which is imagine if you put stuff in a store-all big box. Okay, imagine you had that going on. You could carry two SU size boxes in it, or you could carry 4 1 SU size boxes in it. And going back to when they're doing modularity, I was hoping that they would be able to, you could just fly overhead someplace and then just drop the store-all big box directly onto a location, so you wouldn't even have to stop first, making it a very handy and a very convenient kind of like supply dropper. And then also I'd love for you to be able to just land or just hover over a supply box or a store-all big box and just let it connect to the bottom of your ship and then just keep going, which would be another really, really handy way of picking up something. And of course, I tried doing that with a regular, cargo box. And of course, you just knock it, 10 ways to the sun, so it doesn't really work. But no, it's just an idea, something I hope they work for towards in the future. It'd be something that would make this ship like way more important. And I have no idea what direction they're going to be going with the store all big box and where that stands with this. So we'll just end up seeing. They're very cagey about the answer to that question I found. And so I don't think they even really know where they're going with that. And this is it. Oh, yeah, we already been to the room that had all the constellations in it. This is the only other room. Been to the showroom floor, been downstairs, the 2 areas where the holodeck is. So I believe that is going to be it for today. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining me again for another one of these walkthroughs. I've been your host, Law of the West. Thanks for watching, and take care.